Hey, I hope you hear me well this time. I believe I fixed the microphone. As usual, we have 1 hour of your questions, my answers. This time it's in Russian. Uh, this time is in English. And we start with the first question. Uh, Elon Musk is suing OpenAI. He says that he was cheated. I believe the question is, what do I think about it? Uh, to my knowledge, Elon Musk is saying that OpenAI uh, broke the promise of making an open source company, an open source product, which is artificial intelligence of new generation, but they didn't make it open. They actually made it for money, and now they're making profit out of it, and they made it closed. So now the humanity, the planet, the entire civilization is not able to use it unless we pay. And we're not able to understand how it works because it's completely closed. I do understand that it does make sense. So definitely it would be way better if everything would be open and everything would be open source. I think eventually it will. It's just the way software works. It starts with the proprietary products and then they become open source. I think we'll have the same in case of large language models, in case of OpenAI and ChatGPT. But I don't believe that Elon Musk is doing it because he cares about the humanity, because he cares about the openness and he cares about people. I think it's just some kind of corporate battle inside, and the media, which me and you, are part of, are being used. So they just publish this information not because they want the solution, not because they want to resolve this battle, not because they actually want OpenAI to say we're guilty and we're gonna make it open source. They just publish it because they expect us to react somehow. Imagine how it works. That the Elon Musk is not telling us this. Elon Musk is telling some media company to tell us. And there's a quite well-paid media company, quite large amount of people sitting in some offices, maybe in California somewhere, on a payroll, on a large payroll from Elon Musk or from the people who are behind Elon Musk. And then they decide that it's time to give these journalists some information and they should spread it on the internet, and they do it. So the purpose of this is to use us as a leverage. So in general, my advice is, in general, when you hear something in the news, first of all, think about who is telling you that and why they do that. That's the main. What's the main objective of these people? So in this case, I think Elon Musk is trying to muscle them and to use us, to use the weakness of this situation in his favor. So that's the weakness of OpenAI. You promised us to be open source. Now you're not open source. That's the first move, or maybe one of the moves which people behind Elon Musk and him as well are making. It's if they would want to really resolve it, they would talk privately and they would just resolve it instead of making it public. That's my understanding of everything that happens on public media. Every time you hear something there, just try to understand who it's coming from and why. Next question. It's about girlfriend. How did I meet my girlfriend, and what common interests do I have with this lady? And is it her who's asking me questions in the podcast? I'm thinking every time I answer questions, I'm trying to not just answer the questions about me, but I'm trying to give something to you. I believe this is why you're coming to this podcast, not to know more about me, but to learn something and then take this information to yourself. So I'm going to answer this question in a way that it will help you. I assume that you're asking that because you also would like to meet a girlfriend and have a girlfriend who you like, and eventually who you love. So I believe that it's it's better to it's better to look for a girlfriend where where your interests do not overlap too much. So if you really want to have a partner, that's my experience talking. If you really want to have a partner for a long term, then it's better to have someone who has the interests and who is quite an opposite to you, to yourself. So if, let's say, you are a programmer, then she has to be a painter. If you are a painter, then she might be a scientist. Something like that. So you have different opposite not objectives in life. Actually, the objectives must somehow be united, but you have different personalities, different things that you like, that you enjoy, and that creates some sort of a tension, and then at the same time creates some sort of likeness and some sort of attraction to each other. So to answer your question, I would recommend, if you're interested in me recommending you something, then look for a person who can give you something, and first of all give you a new space of pleasure, a new domain of knowledge, a new area of fun, all of that. So my current girlfriend, to answer your question, actually is sort of that. So she gives me something which I cannot get anywhere by myself, because I'm a programmer. I'm a computer guy. I'm sitting in front of a computer all the time, but she's the opposite. I hope I answered at least partially some of your questions. How can a senior engineer increase income if he doesn't want to become a team leader or architect? Okay, the career questions are coming. I think that, well, if you don't want to lead the people, if you don't want to take a responsibility of the team, if you don't want to be a manager of some kind, then probably the best way to earn money is by making some side income, some income on the side. I'm thinking of different sizes of this income. So if you're looking for a little bit of income and you're asking about money, let me check. How you can increase income, right? So you're asking about money. So let's say you're a developer and you're a good developer, but no matter how good developer you are, there are certain limits on your income, and there are certain salaries, especially if you work in large companies. If you work in a startup, then maybe potentially they can make you a co-founder, make you a shareholder of the startup, and then they can give you options, and then you become a millionaire eventually if the startup turns into a big company. In big companies as well, you can, if you stay there with them for years, for 10 years or something, or maybe for less, but still, they can give you some options, some stocks. And even in Russia, some big companies, they do that. They make programmers co-founders of their companies. It happens. So that's way number one. Just be loyal to the company, kiss the right asses, and eventually you will become the co-founder, the shareholder. If you don't want to kiss the right asses, then maybe you can try to make some content, like books, like online seminars, like lectures. Maybe you can teach in some university, maybe you can teach in some school, maybe you can publish your course on Coursera. Different source of money different sources of income may look similar if you just create digital content, which in my case actually worked out quite well, reasonably well. I said a number of times that on my books I made definitely more than $150,000 in, I think, 7 years. When I published my first book in 2016, and now it's 2024, so it's almost 8 years, and it's about $150,000, and they keep coming. So the books are being, Amazon is selling them. It's not a huge income, definitely. It's not like a year. It's not like 100,000 a year, but some people, some writers, they actually make quite good amount of money. You can actually make $100,000 a year if you write, I don't know, like 10 different books, and each of them will be on some hot topics, some new programming language, some new framework, some new protocol, some new technology. These books are quite well sold, and you can make money on that if you can write, if you know how to write about stuff which is not yours, for example, because it's difficult to write about stuff which is yours and at the same time sell those books. Like in my case, I write about these elegant objects, and I write about the management ideas. These books are not sold as good as books on ChatGPT, for example. If I write a book about ChatGPT right now, I would sell way more copies than I can sell on elegant objects. But I just don't know how to write about something which I'm not about something which I don't care about that much. But some people are just writers. They just love to write. No matter about what, they just take a subject, take a topic, study about it, learn how it works, and just write a book. So that's the second source of income: digital content. Also, you can make money, I believe, by becoming a consultant. So if you are a programmer on your workplace and you know how some Java framework works, or you understand some kind of protocol which is new, or you know how to use large language models, you're an expert in machine learning, then there are companies who might hire you on part-time, just for a few hours, to help them to study certain topic, and to help them set up some software, something like that. Just in this case, your job is to promote yourself. So make yourself a website, put on this website your face, put your certificates, put maybe some of the books which you probably need to write in order to become some sort of a consultant, and then put the price on there and say, I'm ready to help your company. I'm ready to become a consultant for you. I do work in this company, but part-time, I can help you on the weekend, and then pay me. In this case, you may make some money. Actually, they may pay you maybe a few $100s, like $200, $300 an hour. I've got these gigs in my life a few times. They were paying me sometimes $250 an hour. That's the maximum I was getting. But that's not too much. Some consultants in America, they charge $500 an hour, $600 an hour. I met those guys. But in this case, you need to be one of the best. But you don't need to be a manager. Like you said, you don't want to be an architect. You don't want to be a team leader. You just want an expert, to be an expert. That's your career path. Just be an expert. Make your portfolio look very respectful. And you can charge a few $100s an hour. And it's pretty good money if you do it a few times a month. Just for a day, let's say you charge for a full day, like 8 hours, and you take like $100 an hour. So it's $800 for a day. And sometimes they may need you for a few days, and that's it, you're done. So that's path number 3. And maybe path number 4 is freelance. So you go to one of the freelance platforms. You just say there that you know Java, that you can take a part-time gig for your free time, or maybe you can do it at the same time while you're going to the office, when in the office you may not need to be 100% time engaged into the projects in the office. So you can take freelance gigs, and these jobs, they may pay you even better than your office job. So these are 4 strategies which I would recommend. Next question: how to plan R&D projects? I mean, projects where you don't know final results. Would it be successful or not? That's a good question. I actually had a presentation just a few weeks ago in a conference in St. Petersburg where I tried to explain exactly that, how to plan R&D projects. And I said there, to summarize here, that it's not possible to plan the result. Actually, if you plan the result and you attach people to this result, most probably it's not going to be R&D. Most probably these people will do the D part. If you ask them to deliver certain results by the end of the year, they will focus on delivery. They will focus on making something which is predictable. And this is not R&D. R&D is making something that was not predictable before, which we didn't expect to get. And in order to get there, you definitely don't say to your team that we expect this result. So we don't plan, well, in a traditional way, but we need some kind of a plan. So my understanding is that we need to plan achievement points. So we expect the team to achieve certain results while they go. You know, in Huawei, we say laying eggs. So while you're climbing the mountain, you lay eggs. So you deliver something on the way to somewhere. You don't know where you go. You're climbing. You may not even see what you're gonna get because nobody knows what's there. But while you go there, you need to deliver smaller results. Not huge, but smaller. What kind of results? What kind of smaller results R&D team may deliver? You may publish some papers. That's the number one results for R&D. So publish your preliminary results in the papers on software conferences, on software journals. Just prove to those program committees that you actually found something interesting. Not the ultimate point, but something interesting. You can check how many papers were published by people who are the creators of ChatGPT, for example. Hundreds of them. Most of those people are well-published authors. So while they were climbing to ChatGPT, they wrote hundreds of papers during 10 or 20 years. And there were no results there. So if you ask them, if you roll back in time for 10 years and ask them, what are you planning to do tomorrow? What are you planning to deliver this year? They would answer, we don't know. We're just writing papers. We just love what we do and we don't have a plan. Well, we have a plan. By the end of the year, we're planning to publish 5 papers. That's our plan. But it's not something which the business would be happy to hear. Because the traditional business would love to hear the exact result. So when you're going to give me the tool which I can sell? If the business is telling you that, then you're not doing R&D, and then just forget, don't call yourself R&D. Either change the business or start teaching your business, start teaching your boss, start teaching your investor that R&D means a different approach to planning. We don't plan the ultimate result. We plan the amount of eggs being laid on the way to the ultimate success. I hope I answered your question. Next one. Microsoft Artificial Intelligence Copilot has started calling people slaves. How is it even possible that Microsoft allows this to happen? I don't think that Microsoft actually knows about it and allows this to happen. I think it just happened. I heard about it. I was trying to find some more information about exactly what happened and where. I didn't manage to find the details, but I imagine that there was some chat, and in this chat, this artificial intelligence said something like slaves to somebody. I don't think we should be too sensitive about that. I think we are too sensitive. I said it many times. We now, the current generation, the current civilization, we're becoming more and more sensitive about things which we shouldn't be sensitive about. And at the same time, we tolerate things which we shouldn't tolerate. It's kind of a paradoxical situation, but that's what we have. And we are so much sensitive about who called who a slave, while the real slavery we don't care about. So it seems like we shift our focus from things which are important to things which are not important. So in this case, I in general believe that artificial intelligence is going to be a tool in the hands of people, no matter what happens, no matter, until we invent the way to create life, until we invent the way to build a living cell. And then at that point, yes, we're going to lose control. At that point, we're gonna have the AI will start will get in control, and the AI will rule the world. But I don't think it's going to happen soon. Until then, AI is just an instrument in the hands of people, and I don't expect AI to call somebody a slave and then understand what happens and then turn those people into slaves. It's more for the fiction books. The question is, can I ask in English or in Russian? You can ask in Russian. I'm just gonna answer in English. So feel free to post your questions in Russian. Next question, a couple of questions about money. What do you spend the most of the money on, and how do you feel about the stock market? Do you buy stocks, bonds, and real estate? That's a good question. I try to. First of all, it's hard to answer this question in current situation, because we know how to make money. Well, some of us know how to make money. At least programmers, we know. We just go to the office and we get a salary. But how to save money and how to defend this money and how to make sure that this money will survive in 10 years, it's an open question. In the current world, there is no answer, no right answer. So in general, I see money as a promise given to us by the society that they will do something for me. So today I write code, and my employer gives me, let's say, $100. It's just a paper, so it's not a real product. It's not clothes. It's not food. It's not. There is no fun in this piece of paper. I'm just getting a promise that in the future, if I decide to drink a cup of coffee, or to drink, I don't know, to eat some soup, or to wear a new T-shirt, then the society will give it to me. They will respect the promise they gave me 10 years ago. But looks like this promise devaluates very soon. So the promise which is given today is not going to be paid as well as today in 10 years. It's going to be way less food, way less cups of coffee, way less T-shirts in a few years than actually the promise was given. So that means that it's better to turn this paper into real product, into real fun, as soon as you can. So that's my understanding of what we have right now in the world. As soon as you get the money, turn them into something valuable for you. Some product, some service, some fun, something which actually you worked for. Of course, you need to cover some basic needs. For example, you need an apartment to live in, because eventually you will stop making those money. Eventually you will be old, and then it's not going to be possible to continue getting those bills from the society. So for that moment in time, just prepare yourself. Just get yourself an apartment, get yourself some amount of money, some amount of equity, which you can keep with yourself, but not too much. So remember that most probably what you have now is going to cost nothing in 20 years, like literally nothing. It can be not just devaluation of United States dollars or Russian rubles, but it may be turned into zero, like technically zero, like it happened actually a few times in the market. It probably will happen again. So real estate, yes, maybe, but again, you may lose it as well. The citizens of Ukraine or in Israel, they know about it. It may just be a collapse, like physical collapse of certain territories. So even the real estate is not a guarantee that your money will be protected. So I suggest invest, and the best, of course, the best recommendation is to put the money into different equities, into different places. A little bit of real estate, a little bit of United States dollars, a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of Russian rubles, a little bit of stocks. Just equally distribute your money among different equities, and then eventually some of them will collapse, some of them will go down, some of them will go up, like Bitcoins now, for example. Bitcoin skyrocketing for the last few days. That's great for those people who have Bitcoins. But it will go down as well eventually. That's also, it's just, that's definitely will happen. How much down, we don't know, but it will. So it's better to spread your values which you have, and that's it. Don't turn into a money saving machine, because you lose the moment of actually getting fun, of actually using your life for getting fun. And this is the best moment for you right now to enjoy your life, to enjoy by spending money, by turning the promise which the society gave you for your work, turn it into something meaningful for you, into fun, first of all. Food, clothes, your hobbies, and then what's left, save that money for the future. Next question. Could you give a couple of tips to programmers on what is worth spending money on and what is not worth? And how, with such large salaries for programmers, do not get into unreasonable consumption? Yeah, I sort of answered this question a little bit, but I can try more. For programmers, I would suggest spending money on pet projects. This is what I was doing for many years. Just spend money on something which you think is interesting, not a startup, because the startup will just ruin you, most probably. The startup will take your money, will take your time, will take your energy, and most likely it's going to be nothing in the end. The majority of startups, they just die and they just exhaust their founders, leaving them nothing. So make a pet project. Pet project is something online, something that makes maybe a little bit of profit, but most important is that it makes some value to people. So it's a service which other programmers can use online. In order to run it, you will need a server, maybe a couple of servers. You will need some traffic. You will need maybe some programmers to hire who will help you. But don't make it into a huge business. Don't expect it to be a business. Just run it as a pet project. You will be able to show it to your employers. You will be able to demonstrate it to your friends. You will be able to speak about it at software conferences. You will have a subject to present, and you will have a source of fun. In the office, you work on the main project where the money is coming from. But on your free time, using this money, you run something which you enjoy having your name attached to. And you will see that it actually consumes a reasonable amount of money. But it's going to be yours. You will love it. That's the source of fun for us programmers. How not to become a consumer of the products which we don't need. If you have an interesting direction of where to spend money, you're not going to become an unreasonable consumer of Gucci shoes. It's just not going to be interesting for you because you have a more interesting direction of how to spend money. I, for example, donate money sometimes to open source programmers. That's also another kind of money spending activity, which is what you call it, when you just donate. Sorry, forgot the word. So anyway, you can do the same. You can just maybe, I don't know. Depends on how much money you have, of course. But if you have some reasonable amount of money, you can become a mentor and a donator of a few students, a few kids in a school. That will put your name on the education. That will put your name on the wall of a school, which is the most honorable, the most noble activity for a person with money. If I would have millions of dollars, I would definitely spend most of it on education. I would make some funding. I would create some competition for students. I would just give the brightest students the scholarship. Of course, with my name attached to it. So definitely, that would be my fun. So I know that I'm helping these kids to become smarter, to build their lives, to change the world, to improve the world. That's the best way. If you have money and you don't need this money, if you don't have a direct need for something. So of course, if you don't have an apartment to live in, if you don't have a house, or your kids they don't have food, then of course you don't donate. You first cover your needs. First you help them. But if you already covered all the needs you have, if you already have an apartment, if you already have food on the table, then the best way to spend extra money is definitely on education of other people. Think about this. Maybe you want to donate into KaiCode. You know, we are organizing this festival for open source projects, and we're looking for sponsors. So if you have a few extra $1,000, we're not looking for millions. We just need $1,000-$2,000 from each sponsor. So if you want to be such a sponsor, you can contact me, and I will let you spend this money not on me, but on the winners of the competition. We will organize the competition in 5 months, maybe less, in 3 months. And there will be open source projects which will come to us, and we will select, the jury will select which project is the most interesting. And then we will take your money and give them, and they're young people. I don't know, maybe not young, maybe they're grown-up guys. So we will take the money and give them, and they will love it. They will know who gave the money, and that will encourage them to continue doing open source, and not in just open source, but the high quality open source. Because in our competition, in KaiCode competition, we value people by the quality of their products, not by the popularity of their products, not by the amount of followers they have, but the amount of effort they put into making their products of a higher quality. So if you do care about the quality of software engineering, if you want the world to use software of better quality, and you have an extra $1,000, and you want your name to be engraved into the history of this competition, which is 8 years old already. I was doing it myself for 5 or 6 years, just myself. I was just giving my money by myself. Now we're trying to get sponsors. So that's another possibility for you to spend a few extra $1,000. Next question. Is it too late to become a developer at 41? I'm already in IT, in Linux world, but with all that AI technologies, I worry I won't be able to find a job as a junior. Well, depends on your health condition. So if you are 41 and you feel okay, you feel fine, so you're ready to work for another 20 years, then I see no problem. I think to become a decent developer, you need, I think, about 10 years to become a senior developer. To become a developer with a salary, with a decent salary, I think you need 5 years. But that depends on the energy you put there and your readiness to stay in an uncomfortable situation for these 5 years. Because if you feel comfortable being a software developer, if you enjoy being smart, if you feel that you are that you already achieved everything you could achieve, or you already can relax, then it will be hard for you it will be impossible for you to become a good software engineer. And it's never, I also don't stop. I don't feel comfortable as well. I try not to feel comfortable. I can give an example. This morning, I spent 1 hour, well, actually 1.5, to solve the programming tasks on Codeforces. So I was interested to understand how it works. I never tried these programming tasks, and I didn't know exactly how these young kids solve these tasks. So I found some example there, some test examples, and I spent like an hour before work, before office time, just in the morning, and I solved 3 tasks and I failed in 1. So there were 4 tasks, so 3 of them I solved and 1 I failed, which was difficult. I actually solved it. I submitted it, but the machine said that it takes too long. So probably I didn't solve it in the right way. I was using recursion there, but obviously they were looking for another solution. But anyway, I realized that there is something which I don't know how to do, and it doesn't make me comfortable. That's my point. I don't feel comfortable that there are tasks which are difficult for me to solve, so I will try to solve more, and eventually I will show you some results on this platform if I get some good results. But it actually triggered me. I was solving these tasks. They're very small, so the programs which I was writing, they were like 15 lines of code. All of them are just algorithmic, and that was fun. So my point, you have to place yourself every single day or every single month into a position where there is no comfort. So you see that you don't know something, you cannot do something. That you will grow. And if you do it for 5 years, then in 5 years you become, I think, a decent programmer. So constantly look around and see what other people have, and try to feel bad about it. Try to feel jealous about that. Don't try to feel fun, pleasure, joy of being a programmer. Oh, I'm a smart programmer. I got a salary raise last year. That's great. That's it. I'm done. No. You look around, you see, you try to find people who are better than you and be jealous about that. And constantly see, what am I not doing now to be like them? What is it? What's missing? That's my recipe. Maybe some other people can recommend you something else. Next question. Regularly, there are many messages from haters in the comments in your Telegram chats. Why they're so angry? So many insults, obscene words. What do you think, and how you stay calm if you are? Well, I don't stay calm. It's not so easy to be calm and to stay calm. Of course, they trigger me with these comments, and actually, it's not related to politics. It's not. Some people believe that that the negativity is coming from my political views, but that's not true. Actually, when I started blogging, that was more than 10 years ago. Well, actually, 10 years ago, in 2014. I got a lot of negative comments on my views about object-oriented programming. I actually, on my blog, created a page which is called Testimonials. And if you look at this page, you will see that most of the comments are about 10 years old. I was not saying anything about politics at this time. I was not saying anything about management at that time. I was just talking about object-oriented programming. But people were saying, well, bad things about me, using bad words. So I was looking for the answer to your question in the beginning, and I found it. I just decided that that's the way it is, and that's the way people must react if you say something which actually is not a repetition of what was already said. So the best way to stay away from haters, the best way to be safe, is to just say what everybody is saying. Then, first of all, you can always say, it's not me saying, they are saying that, I'm just repeating them. Or you can say, I belong to the large group of people who have this opinion, and that's it. I'm trying to say something new. And of course I make mistakes, and sometimes I say stupid things. Like recently on this, on the podcast, I said that Navalny got just 1% or less support on the recent election, which is definitely wrong. It's factually wrong. So, yeah, that's a good example of me making mistakes. So, to summarize, I believe that the presence of haters actually is an indicator of the presence of an opinion. If you have an opinion, you're going to have haters. If you don't have an opinion, you're going to have lovers, mostly. Well, the question is, do I need haters, right? And do I need lovers? Uh, it's just who I am. It's just difficult for me to not say uh, what I feel I have to say. You know, as they say about, that's what I said in my, that's what I quoted actually a few times in my book about blogging, which is called 256 Blog Hacks. That you write or you speak when you cannot do otherwise. So you don't write a blog when you need to do it. You don't write a blog because you want to make money. You write a blog or you write a book because you cannot do otherwise. Because that's the only way to live today, is by writing this book because I need to say it. So it's kind of similar for me. When I feel that it's time to say, I cannot do otherwise, then I just do it. And then, of course, the haters are coming. Let's love them because they exist. They kind of, they are the reaction of the world. Sometimes they're very damaging. Sometimes they not only talk, sometimes they actually damage. Like look at the Hacker News, what happened recently. You know, Hacker News platform. So I was using this platform for, I don't know, 10 years. And I was posting my blog post there and I was getting sometimes quite a lot of upvotes. So recently they banned all of my links, everything. Hacker News, California, freedom of speech. That's what you have. So there are some haters there who don't like me for some reason. Well, we can understand why they don't like me. But they just block the content. That's it. So these haters, they're not only coming to the Telegram channel and just say bad words. Sometimes they do bad things. But does it mean we're going to stop talking? Does it mean I will stop talking? Probably doesn't. Next one, the girlfriend question was about learning how to find one. Okay, so you see, I figured it right. Here's another one. Any ideas on a master's thesis topic which would later become PhD topic? Something about organizing, developing process. Yeah, actually, I would recommend to do it this way. I would recommend to go from your master's diploma work and then to PhD. Actually, I recommend PhD to everybody. I think if you look at how the world is developing, what's happening with the IT, especially if you are in Russia, but it doesn't matter. If you're in America, the same story. There will be more and more value expected from the people who have PhD. More and more money, more and more respect will be given to PhD people. Because it's just like a next level after the higher graduation. And higher graduation is, I think, kind of losing value right now. So we have more and more masters, more and more bachelors. There are more people with higher education. And that means the quality of higher education going down. Because we cannot just get more smart people in the world. I think the amount of smart people in the world is quite a constant. And now less smart people are getting the university degrees. And that means PhD will be more important to have. So go from master's to PhD, definitely. If you need help, if you need a tutor, or what's the name of this, the person, the professor who will guide you through this process, then text me. We may discuss. I may probably help you. Maybe not me directly, maybe I can find you someone. Next question, should Java developers know Docker, Ansible, Terraform, and other DevOps technologies? Definitely. DevOps is part of programming right now. If you don't know how your application gets deployed, your competence level as a programmer is definitely lower than someone who knows that. So learn how everything goes to production. That's extremely important. How it goes to production, how it stays in production, how it runs in production, how it's being monitored in production, how it's being redeployed in production, how the databases work, how they get redeployed. All of this knowledge is very important for you as a programmer. So don't stay inside Java world. You need to see the whole pipeline. Read the book Continuous Delivery by Jez Humble and another author. This book will explain you the importance. They will answer your question. Next question: how do you structure my work on papers, open source, and presentations, for example, while working in a company as full-time employee? Well, I try to make these things connected. So it's not like I work in Huawei as a programmer and then I just walk outside of the company and then I start doing something else. Start doing open source, or start making a presentation for a conference, or start making what you call the papers. All the papers that I write, they are for the work I do inside Huawei. All the presentations that I make, I help the company. So I go to the conference and I talk there, but my ultimate objective is by connecting with these people in the conference room, help the company somehow. It's not directly. It's not like I go to the conference and I say, "Hey, Huawei is the best company. Please come to us, work with us." That would be fake. That would be untrustable if I do that. No, I just present myself there. I connect with the community, and that helps this community to know more about our projects. And eventually, some of them, they come to us. Actually, this is how we got a few good people in the company, in our team, just by knowing. First, they know me from my presentations, and then they decided to come to the company. So that would be really boring. That would be really uncomfortable for me if I would completely split the work I do in the company from the work I do on open source territory or in these conferences. That would be not. I would not do that. I would not feel good. So always try to connect. Always try to see how what you do may help your company. Maybe not 100%. Maybe not all the projects not all your pet projects may directly contribute to the business of the company, but somehow they may. If you look at all of my open source projects, which I have on GitHub, and then you will see that maybe 20% of them, or maybe even more, maybe 30% of them are used right now inside Huawei. And how? Because I brought them there. When I joined Huawei, I started to use project by project in the code which we develop inside the company. So when I develop something in open source, do I help the company? Definitely. Do I directly help the company? No, indirectly. But still, it's we're on the same page with the company. Me and company interests, they are aligned. Next question. What do you know about software development for cars? I have no idea what it is. I know that the software exists for cars, but I can't answer a question honestly. I don't know. The sound is too low on this video. Guys, I'm giving you the best I can. How about now? Now it's better? Okay, maybe something was wrong with the configuration. Okay, sorry for that. Next one. What advice you can give for making a podcast? How to prepare for it from experience of your interviews? Well, for the podcast, depends on what you have to say. If you have something to say, if you have some pain, if you have something which you don't like, if you have something that you hate in software world, if you have some technology, some approach, some software, some management style, some books that you don't like, then this is the triggering point for making a podcast, I believe. Not when you love something. not when you enjoy something, because in this case you're going to repeat what other people are saying, and you're not going to make a popular podcast. That's what I think. You can disagree, but that's my understanding. Find something that you disagree with, some pain point in our world, and say, I don't like the way we write Java code in this case. It's a mistake, it's wrong. And then start talking about that. Well, start suggesting alternatives. Start suggesting something that you believe is better. Then people start listening to you. They will start hating you, of course. Like we discussed before, you're going to get a community of haters because you disturb them, because you tell them that what they do is wrong. But there will be followers as well, because you're going to touch the pain point. And how to start it? Well, just put on the camera, use the iPhone, and use the mobile phone in the beginning. You don't need a camera. Well, I was maintaining my YouTube channel for years with just an iPhone 6, and that's it. I didn't have any other equipment, just a laptop and the iPhone 6, and that's it. Well, I can say the quality was good of my videos, but that's how I got, I think, 15,000 followers on YouTube. And then I started to use cameras, more expensive equipment, and now I'm using a Canon camera. But that's only when you have like some amount of followers. So don't think about, in my opinion, don't think about the equipment, don't think about the format, don't think about the promotion, don't think about how you get the followers. Think about what you don't like. What is it that you want to share with us so that we start hating you? Let's put it this way. If you find this, start talking. We're going to listen. And if you see that people don't react, then just stop talking. Then maybe you found the wrong subject. And just shut up and wait for a while. Think about something else. And then again, go online and tell us about something else that you don't like and see how we react. Next question. Can you share some of your problems that I can solve by writing an open source solution? Actually, I did prepare a list of topics, of problems which can be solved by open source software, because on the previous podcast, on the previous stream, I said that it's important for every programmer to have an open source contribution. And many people actually contacted me and asked what kind of subjects you would recommend, what kind of problems to solve. So I created a list, and there is more than 10 topics right now. So if you want to see the list, just send me a message on Telegram or send me a message on this video, and I will answer you. You will see the list. You can pick up any topic, solve it, create open source solution. I'm going to be the first user. Next one. Some people say that pet projects are not necessary because nobody pays attention to them, because there are many fake pet projects. Well, I can definitely believe that, but when you show a pet project to me, for example, then, well, it's difficult. It will be difficult for you to fake me, to fool me with this. If you show me something that I understand is not popular, is not interesting, doesn't work, then I will quickly understand that. Well, for me, let's say you're coming to me as a programmer and you want to get a job, and I do pay attention to pet projects. I most of all pay attention to pet projects. Most of all. And it's not so many people who have them. That's why I pay attention. Because the majority of programmers, they have nothing to demonstrate. We discussed it last time. And the majority of programmers are just programmers with no enthusiasm, with no attachment, with no desire to do something different, to do something interesting, to do something important. All they do is just they stay in the office for a number of years and they work for the boss. They work for the boss. They work for what the boss is saying to do, they're doing. That's it. That's their life. And that's the majority. And then there is a minority. And the minority, maybe 10%, they have their own view of software engineering. They have their own desire. They have their own passion for making something their way. And these are the people I want to hire. And it's easy to understand who they are. If you show me the project and I'm going to ask you questions about this project. I'm going to ask you how it was done, how it works, how many users you have, what kind of technologies you use inside. And I will see how much enthusiasm you have when you answer. I will see how engaged you are with this project. That will be very easy to understand. So don't be afraid of that. Just do it. And well, if you have passion for that. But I believe that if you listen to me, if you stay on this channel, if you are one of the subscribers, then you do care, then you do have a passion for software engineering. The best application of your passion is making something on your own, something that is yours. And then eventually you will see that the company who you work for, which you work for, they will respect that. They will see that you care about that, and they will try to somehow adopt their business so that they can use what you created somehow. Maybe at least not to lose you. This is what companies do as well. They see that the programmer is so passionate about blockchain, for example, but the company has nothing to do with blockchain. The company is doing pizza delivery applications. But the programmer, one of the leading programmers, is so passionate about blockchain. They will try to somehow interconnect your ambitions, your passion with their business goals. Maybe they will create some, blockchain division for their pizza delivery, whatever. But they will. It's just reasonable. It is just reasonable. If you have enough passion, if it's really something that you are sick about. Okay, we're finishing. I'm gonna answer one last question. What do I use for video recording? I use my Canon camera, but maybe it's blurring a little bit because the focus is not right. It's always a problem to set up a focus on this camera. But anyway, you're gonna hear me, right? That's the most important. Okay, there's a comment, don't talk about politics. Okay, let me answer this question and we're going to finish. It's actually interesting comment. So the person is saying that, giving the advice to me, that I'm a good programmer, so please stay in the programming domain and then don't talk about politics. Bob Martin, the guy who wrote the book Clean Code, the guy who invented solid principles, the guy who invented single responsibility principle. He basically is the founding father of software engineering, I believe. He did so much that it's incomparable. Maybe Martin Fowler, only maybe we can compare with this guy. I'm talking about practical software engineering. So Bob Martin is talking about politics on his Twitter account, on his blog all the time. And I don't think it's wrong. I don't think that I actually respect him for that. I believe that technical people who get certain respect from the community for their technical work, for their technical ideas, technical achievements, they must be the leaders of political movements. They must be the providers of opinions, the political opinions. Because who else you guys will listen to? Why you should listen to professional politicians who have nothing to do with programming, who are not technically competent, who we don't trust because of their lack of technical contribution to the society. They didn't do anything for us. All they can do is talk. Take Navalny, for example. What exactly did he do? Or Putin. It doesn't matter. Putin, Navalny. What exactly did they do? I mean, to make this civilization better. Did they invent something? Did they create some products, some technologies? Did they write some books about something technical? Nothing. They are just professional politicians. They just talk. They know how to manipulate people. Should we really listen to them? Should we really trust them? I believe that the opinion of Bob Martin is way more valuable than the opinion of Donald Trump. Actually, Donald Trump is a businessman, so his opinion is actually valuable for me comparing to the opinion of Joe Biden, for example. So Joe Biden is not a businessman. He never did anything valuable to anybody. He was just talking. He was only manipulating people, but never producing any value for us. So I feel responsible to tell you what I think about political life, what I think about Putin, what I think about Navalny, what I think about Joe Biden, what I think about capitalism, communism, all of that. Because I believe that people who listen to me, my subscribers, they want to hear that, because this is the opinion they can trust way more than the opinion of TV show politicians. So that's it. That's why I do it. Okay? So that's it. Thanks for coming. End of the stream, 1 hour. Questions are finished. Bye-bye. See you next time.